Okay, let's talk milk on the show today. Now, growing up, there used to be a basic doodhwala in the 90s that used to come at your doorstep. Then eventually came Amul, a cooperative, remember? And then came with the choice that we had with milk, which was skimmed milk, full fat, low fat, all of those things. And now the latest phenomena in milk is A2, and I'm sure you haven't missed it. But it's not the only one. There is Milano milk and Ghee milk, and these are all kinds of expensive, at least twice the price of your regular Amul or any other brand of cooperative, your good old-time milk as well. They're said to be healthier, but what exactly is the truth behind A2 milk? Let's take you through that on the program today.
Even the food regulator FSSAI seems a little confused about this topic. Recently, they put out an advisory in which they said that you can't claim if you're an A2 or an A1 milk, and this was for brands. But now, yesterday in the morning, it seems that they've overturned that as well. They've withdrawn that. E-commerce platforms and milk producers were told first that they need to remove the claims from the products and websites immediately. But now, as we said, that order has been entirely withdrawn. So, what exactly is going on behind the scenes?
We don't know what exactly is going on, but we can tell you and we can break down for you what exactly is the A2 milk phenomena. It's basically the kind of milk that contains a beta protein, a beta-casein protein. And this protein is unique because it's suited for the Indian gut and breaks down much easier than the regular milk in our digestive system as well. This happens because it's coming from a particular breed of cows. These cows again are largely Indian and South Asians. Now, nutritionally speaking, the A2 milk is simpler, is very similar, to regular milk as well. It has the same levels of protein, calcium, other essential nutrients as well, with a key difference being that it is much more easy on your gut. So if you are slightly lactose intolerant, it is advised that you go for A2.
So here are some pointers addressing the differences between A1 and A2. The big question, does it come from different cows? A1 milk comes from cows of European origin, such as the Holstein, the Friesian, there are different kinds of breeds. The A2 milk comes from cows that predominantly produce the A2 beta-casein, as Sonal was just saying, and this includes breeds like Asian breeds, Indian cows.
There is the major difference is actually in the cost. Your regular A1 milk, like we said, that the one which comes from foreign breeds of the cows is easily available. It's also much lesser in cost because these cows have a shorter dry spell. That means they're lactating for longer and thus they are giving out more milk. It's a higher yield as well. A2 milk, on the other hand, tends to be more expensive because the Indian cows, they have a longer dry spell. The yield that you get out of each lactating cow is much less.
Okay, so that is the price as we've just discussed. But is the milk processing process any different from both of these kinds of cows? A1 milk undergoes standard milk processing. There is obviously the process of pasteurization, homogenization and packaging. With A2 milk, processing is generally similar to A1 milk, but extra care is taken to ensure that milk comes exclusively from the A2 producing cows. There's no mixing taking place. So that will often mean that you have a separate collection and a processing facility. The goal being to avoid contamination of any kind with A1 milk.
And this is where things generally get tricky over here. But like we said, even the regulator seems to be confused about it. So what should you do? Should you be buying A2 milk? How to tell if what is actually A2 milk or just some brand or marketing gimmick? And importantly, how exactly is A2 different from A1? Should you really be going for it? Let's take those questions and try and get some answers from those who are actually in the business. Joining us on the program is Jayati Bhatnagar. She's a trained food technologist and also the founder for Milky Bay. It's a boutique dairy farm in Delhi NCR. Hi, morning, Jayati. Also with us is Amita. She has over 20 years of experience and is very passionately spearheading her own clinic and nutrition practice. So she's going to be telling us about what exactly is it that this is doing to our gut. Jayati, let me come to you first. I first explain to our viewers, we've put out a very broad spec here, right? That A2 is the milk that is coming from a particular breed of cows. But how difficult or easy is it to actually extract it? And then the question really is it worth that cost? Almost twice, sometimes even more.
So if you have to break it down, you really need to understand that milk comes from buffaloes and cows, right? And all the indigenous cattle is producing A2 beta casein, just like you mentioned. And all the foreign cows or the mixed breed cows are producing the A1 beta casein, A1 casein, right? So now if you divide cows also, you have indigenous cows and you have foreign cows. The ones which are mixed breed, could be a Jersey, it could be a Holstein. So yes, all the buffaloes from Indian origin and all the cows from Indian origin are producing A2 milk. When it comes to A2 milk, the production is less. So all the boutique farms, just like Milky Way and other farms, we take stringent care about what our cows are eating, what kind of water they're getting, what nutrition they're getting. So since everything is controlled, the costs are generically high as compared to an A1 or a normal packet milk. This is how the difference creates in the market.
Okay. Let's just go to Amita then to ask her. Amita, tell us where, the big question today, one of many big questions, is this question of is A2 actually better for your digestion or not? Amita, shed light. We know this is a question many have looked at for years now. What do the studies show?
See, this whole A2, A1 milk scenario, the story began back in the 1990s, usually. Around 2000 is when we saw the first paper published by the A2 Milk Company, which actually had a vested interest. And they found that the BCM7 polypeptide that gets produced, it may have some kind of effects on, say, in animal experiments, in lab rats essentially. This claim was never validated by absolutely any randomized controlled trials in humans. In fact, when the A2 Milk Company in New Zealand started saying that they went to Australia and New Zealand and said that there should be say kind of a warning on milk, saying that A1 milk is harmful and A2 is what is safe for human drinking. It was completely rejected and refuted across the world. Okay, so to cut to a bottom line is that nutritionally speaking, from a health point of view, there has been no concrete data by which we can claim that yes, A1 milk is better, A2 milk is better than A1 milk. And yet a lot of people, they would still find that they might see some better digestive issues or lesser digestive issues with A2 milk, and that may happen because they are primarily lactose intolerant and not an A1 A2 scenario. Yeah. So there's not that big of a health benefit to consuming a much more expensive milk.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Amita, on that front. So it's largely got to do, and as we all know by now, that a large population of South Asian individuals are actually lactose intolerant, and they just don't know it. That's the reason why even A2 sort of rose to that popularity. But, Jayati, I want to understand this for a consumer, and this is perhaps taking a leaf from what the food regulator also did. The reason why the ban even came in the first place was they realized it's becoming another organic scam. Everybody's claiming to be A2 when they're not. So, Jayati, as somebody who's organizing a farm, going through this entire process, for a consumer, milk is milk, tastes the same nutrition. Can you give us some tips on how to tell that what I'm consuming is A2 or not? Like, how can I tell the difference, if at all?
See, honestly, as a layman consumer, you cannot really tell that it's A2 because all these tests that you have to do are scientific tests for the protein and for everything. But yes, you can always, in case you're taking milk from any, a bottling vendor that they claim that the milk is coming from the farm, it's directly coming to your door, just go to the farm, see the cows. So you will see that if they're indigenous cows, you know that for sure that they are producing that particular strain of protein, because we do have so many visitors coming to our farm every now and then just to check, like, is it really indigenous cows? Are you, collaborating with any other smaller farmer? So that's the only way you can go about it. Or, social media has played a big role in the same, that, they've started showcasing their farms, because all these packet milks that you get, you cannot really check if it is A1 or A2. I think that is the reason FSSAI pointed it out in the first place.
Okay. Then Amita, can you tell us, because we've talked about milk, but I just for a second want us to touch on other products. So you have A2 ghee, for example, or you have also infant, baby food, for example. There's the question there. Should you be more careful there that it is A2, and then should you be doing your background checking, your homework?
So, from the dairy point of view, if you look at even the way consumption has changed in India, like Jayati mentioned, there are two kinds of milk that are consumed in India. You have buffalo milk and you have cow's milk. Buffalo milk continues to form around 60 to 65% of the consumption. Buffalo milk is inherently indigenous and A2. Okay. Now, buffalo milk, because it has more fat, and the dairy industry takes milk based on the fat, because more the fat, that much more, many more products they can make out of it. You will find that majority of the products on the shelves today, they are actually made from buffalo milk, unless it is specified as A2 cow's milk product. Okay. Now, given this fact, if you know that all products are inherently almost A2, even within the A2 cow's milk, we find that the ones which are, say, not farm raised, or like say sold as say farm raised, farm bred A2 milk products, even then, even if they were crossbred, 50% of their milk is also going to be A2. So if you look at it, the large raw material that is coming into the industry is all A2, and hence what would be more important when looking at products is going to be what is the nutrient content, or is the product actually doing what it's supposed to. For example, if you are buying baby formula, then ensuring that the nutrient content of that formula or of that infant milk powder is matching what you actually need from what could be a breast milk or what is the standard formulation is more important than worrying about whether it is A1 or A2.
And plus, I somehow
I think when it comes to kid, it's a different ball game altogether. But Jayati, if I can sort of take that a step further, there is not just A1, A2. If I go to a supermarket today, there is Bilano milk and there is Gir Gai milk, and there are a whole host of things that are really out there. So ultimately, just put it in context for us. All of this, Bilano, Gir, etc., is all Indian cow breeds, right? Ultimately, what they will give you is A2. And again, there is no way of checking that it's actually coming from there. There is no label check, there is nothing. Perhaps the cost could be a tell. If it's coming cheaper, then maybe there is some, there is some catch over there.
I mean, I understand that there are a lot of claims that the other marketers have put, but Bilona, so firstly it's Bilona, Bilano is something else. So Bilona is a process how ghee is made traditionally from a churner. That's Bilona ghee. And people are, there are brands claiming that they're making ghee in that particular process, which is perfectly fine. A2 milk has the closest palatability to mother's milk. That's the reason there's a good roar around, people having smaller kids that find when they're shifting from breast milk to cow's milk, A2 has a close palatability. That works out pretty well. And as you age this entire, so when you have to digest milk, there's a BCM peptide that is released, which gets weaker by the age. So that's the reason you have bloating and other, digestive gut issues after consuming milk. But that does not get produced when you're consuming A2 milk. So it's anyways, good for lactose intolerant people. It's good for people who are, who feel very full after eating less. It's good for people who are working out because, it's the metabolism is high, so it's easily digested. It's good for older people because their metabolism rate is so slow. That is how we support that A2 is better than A1. However, there is no test that you can perform at home that can be like, okay, ye aaj A1 nahi A2 aaya.
Acha. Okay, so you're saying actually the consumer can't tell. Let's go to Jayati then, and not Jayati, sorry, Amita, and just ask her. Amita, tell us. There are other things too, right? There's the cow-fed, the grass-fed cow. There is the idea of hormones, antibiotics, all these ideas. And I just want to ask you, if I as a consumer am standing in front of you and asking you, what do I need to look out for? And how much is a marketing gimmick? What are your top maybe 3 or 4 takeaways for our audiences today?
I think the whole A2 scenario is creating a problem and then selling its solution. And like say, it's all a very genius marketing scenario that has happened here. It's like me trying to tell you that, hey, you're not able to digest milk, so here's an A2 milk. As such, clinically, if you're not able to digest milk, which happens to most of us because the lactase enzyme producing gene switches off as we're aging, so as from the time that when the baby first gets weaned off breast milk is when you start seeing that the lactase enzyme gene is switching off. Now, in that scenario, adults as such definitely don't need to be having any milk at all. So it is not a case of A1 or A2. It's just that, dude, you can't digest milk because you don't have the enzyme to digest the sugar in the milk. So when we are saying that people face bloating from milk, it's actually an issue of an deficiency of the digestive enzyme for the sugar and not the BCM7 polypeptide or the casein protein. Okay, so there's a difference in that. So if you're facing any kind of bloating, the first thing you should be doing is just stop consuming milk. If you ask me as a nutritionist, I'm going to not tell any adult to start having, a cup of milk. And fun fact here is that most of us millennials, we were brought up around the 80s and 90s is when 80 to 90% of India's milk consumption was all buffalo milk and A2 milk. Okay, so buffalo milk was the 80 to 90% consumption. And then these people, when they switch to A2 cow's milk, they actually have cow's milk protein allergies. It doesn't matter whether the cow's milk is A1 or A2. What matters is now these guys, they have cow's milk protein allergies, and because of which they are seeing issues. So as a nutritionist, top 3 things that I would tell you to remember is that A2 ghee, which is the topmost bracket in the market right now, is a massive scam. There is no protein. There is no concept of A2 in your ghee at all. So stop wasting your money. You are more likely to be getting the same product in the market if you are buying something which is just labeled as A2 ghee versus a buffalo ghee. Is going to be the same because buffalo ghee is also A2. Okay. Second thing to remember is that if you have issues digesting any kind of milk, then instead of worrying about where that milk is coming from, just stop drinking that milk because you don't have the lactase enzyme to digest it. You can, and these same people, you will find that they are able to digest things like the ghee, like the curd that is made from the milk or even the buttermilk, because it comes partially digested. The lactose is lower, the load is lower in curd and buttermilk, which is why you would still be able to digest those. So you can continue with that. And finally, instead of banking so much of your nutritional requirements and protein sources coming from just milk, for that matter, I would say rather eat other stuff than fretting so much about where that milk is coming from and everything. On top of that, if you have the money, go ahead and spend it. But all of the premium that you're paying for A2 milk is just not worth it, in my opinion.
Jayati, you are smiling through the whole process. You are somebody who actually makes A2. Do you agree that A2 ghee is a scam? And can I just add an anecdote over there? While we were prepping for this interview, I spoke with several considerably big brands and big names of who are doing A2. And none of them agreed to come on camera and actually speak about it, which tells you a little bit about what's really happening behind the scene. But Jayati is here and she's taking all those questions. So go ahead, Jayati. Is it a scam, A2 ghee?
So it's not a scam, but I would say how a smaller, newer brand that claims to have their own farm, they produce better ghee as compared to the commercial dairy farms. Because okay, so let's start from the beginning. All the dairy farms are procuring milk from smaller farmers, right? You don't know what the cow has been eating throughout the day. It might be consuming garbage, right? Because we do see them on the roadsides. So the milk that they are producing, their feed is actually not healthy. So I don't think that there's any any nutrient which is going to be in the milk. Then all this milk is collected. It goes to a bigger facility, and okay, firstly, by the time the packet milk reaches you, it's already 3.5 days old. So do you really want to consume something that's 3.5 days old? And then you don't know what kind of nutrients are present in the milk, and that's the nutrient that are seeped into ghee when you make ghee, right? So but when you have a cow or a farm that has controlled fodder, that has controlled care being given to it, then the produce is obviously better. I'm not saying it has something to do with A1 or A2, it just has to do with what the cow has been eating. And this is where I think India really lacks, because we don't pay heed to the feed of the cows.
Just to echo your point, Jayati, you are essentially saying that you have happier cows, correct? Not only is the production process cleaner, but your cows are happier. And I do want to highlight that that is something that, especially if you are in, for example, the US, Australia, Europe, you'll often get products where they'll talk about how happy the animal creating that product is. They'll name the animals. So we are seeing that sort of enter the Indian market too. I just want to ask, let's go back then one last time to Amita to ask her. Amita, leave us with the final word here on how much all of this matters. The happiness of the animal. And I do think it actually, because you know, you read about a certain kind of hormone entering the liquid you're drinking or the food you're eating because of the manner in which the animal was killed, for example. That's a different debate altogether. But how much does all of this matter?
See, I am with Jayati when we are saying that there needs to be better care practices and better farming practices when it comes to the entire industry. Yes, agreed. But from, I'm going to speak only as a nutritionist out here. When you are looking at any product which is like an A2 milk product from a health point of view, what are the primary products? You have milk, you have your paneer, you have dahi and buttermilk, and you have ghee. Now, from that, milk you anyway don't need to be having if you have any kind of bloating. So that's off the debate. Ghee is a pure fat. Even when studies were done comparing A2 milk and A2 ghee and A1 ghee, it was found there's absolutely no chemical or any kind of derived benefit or a difference between the two. So ghee being a pure fat, again, it doesn't matter where it is coming from, it's ghee at the end of the day. Even the cow's ghee versus buffalo ghee nutritionally is the same, okay? So then ghee, anyway, being a saturated fat, you should not be consuming too much of, so that's also off. Next comes your dahi and buttermilk, which you will find that if you like the taste of something and you want to have, say, A2 buttermilk or you want to have A2 dahi, go ahead and have that. But if you are someone who's currently in the age bracket of 25 to 40, the likelihood of you having been brought up on buffalo milk and hence liking that taste, which is again to repeat, indigenously A2 is much higher. So there is no reason for you to switch to cow's milk, because then suddenly you are introducing a new kind of a milk protein to yourself, and you would still might struggle with newer allergies, which will actually you will see the effect of that some 4 or 5 years down the line. So don't be too reliant on milk overall as a nutritional say food group is what I would say. Bring in more of the other protein sources as a nutritionist is what I'm saying. And even after that, if you still want to say go ahead and have some dairy product, I would say opt for whey isolate. You know, if you're not eating your meeting your protein requirements, and that is one dairy product which is pretty much processed. Yes, it is so processed that the chances of there being any contaminants, unless and until it's like a poor quality protein, is much lower. So if you do want to definitely have as an adult some dairy product, then I recommend a whey isolate and not guzzling a liter of milk or worrying, you know, about it, because understand this, that from all the food that you are eating, dairy actually forms and should form only about 5% of it. So think of the 95% instead of bothering about the 5%.
Yeah. So I need a coffee after all that conversation, and I take mine with milk. So this is, but what I've understood with this conversation is that I need to know what the source of the milk is, which farm it is coming from. I need to know how fresh it is, and perhaps the most important bit here is that I don't need to fall back on packaging. Just somebody claiming to be A1, A2 will not always be the case. And like Jayati and Neeta have laid it out for us, in most cases, in different forms of milk, in terms of paneer and ghee, doesn't even matter where it's coming from largely, as long as you know your source. Thank you both for joining us.